Now, hi everybody, I'm Chris P, and today we are joined by Pablo Toledo. Pablo, please introduce yourself, and we will tell you what we're going to talk about today. Thanks for joining us, Pablo.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thank you for the intro. I'm the club sporting project director, and I work with Chris a lot. What we do, a big part of what we do is relates to coaching education and to try and develop services and programs that are useful for clubs to organize all of their youth academies. So just happy to be here. Thanks, Chris.
Brilliant. So, Pablo, we're going to talk about starting our season off right. Okay. And I had a lot of buzz at the summit. I wasn't at the summit, but we have done, well, you have done some amazing work with the coaching manual. And we want to be able to help volunteer coaches. We want to be able to help all our paid coaches to give a better product and get our kids going. So it's been a long time coming. We've worked very hard, especially you. So thank you for that, Pablo. And we've taken some stuff and put some sessions into life and action. So do you want to take us through a little bit of the coaching manual stuff of what we've done? And we'll talk a little bit and we'll touch upon how our coaches, no matter where they're from, whether it's recreational, whether it's regional, how we can assist them and how we can aid them to get their season started right.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, if you want me to, I can actually share screen so they get a good visual on it.
Yeah, please, that would be brilliant.
So thanks for that. And it's true, and it's a great moment to thank you as well, because just like you were saying, we worked a lot on this last year, and I can say that proudly. Something that I tell every club, every coach that I meet, is like, I don't know if what we do is perfect. I'm sure it's not actually, but we were obsessed with the idea of we want to reflect our culture in everything that we do. That to me was vital. That's why we had so many conversations with Chris and our team, because we wanted to develop a curriculum that was, again, a reflection of who we are at the end, the things that we believe in, all of our core values. We wanted that to be reflected. So when you see our curriculum and all of the sessions that we're going to show, I think the most beautiful part is that you can look at them and it's just a session, but in reality it's not. For us, it's full of little elements, and it actually fits in a big picture. So the way that we did it is, and this is good for coaches to know, is we use two platforms right now. The one that is very popular in this very moment is the Rush Coaching Manual, but the other one that we use a lot is our website, that is Rush Soccer Development. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because if you are trying to get extra education or learn a little bit more about how things are built, the website is actually the right place to go. So right here and on our website that is exclusive for Rush coaches, under the Rush Way drop-down menu, you can find all of the construct, right? Like all of the methodological structures that we develop to support the curriculum. And if you're interested, and I hope you are, and we appreciate that you are, if you're interested in learning more about anything, the drop-down menu that says Rush Coaches, you're going to find a lot of our podcasts and blogs and webinars. Chris actually runs the webinars. They're brilliant. Or goalkeeping specific education. So just know that this is a resource for you as well. Now, the Rush Coaching Manual is this second platform that we have. And it's really cool. It's really cool because we give unlimited users. So it's one of the great benefits of being part of Rush Soccer, that we have unlimited users and we give them for free to every Rush coach in the world. So we're talking about 2,000 coaches, more or less.
Over 2,000 coaches.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's a large population that we have, and this, I think it's amazing. So the Rush Coaching Manual, how is it that it works? It's a website, but at the same time, it's an app. So if you go to your Play Store, let's suppose, and you type the coaching manual, or Apple Play, depending on the phone that you have, you can actually find this symbol, this one specifically, download the app, and access all of this content from it. So that's something pretty important to know. Now, how is it that the tool works? It's relatively simple. When you log in, rush.thecoachingmania.com, you're gonna come here to your locker room. That's where you find all of your favorites. If you want to create your own session or your own activity or a graph that you're looking for, you can always do it from my content. And I'm just getting this is a very quick rundown in this module, because the one that we're going to focus on is training ground. The training ground is how you navigate all of the content that it's already created. So when you click on training ground, these very filters at the very top are telling you most of what you need. So all of our content is organized by divisions, by age groups. So imagine that you have a U9, so you could always come here, just click on Bantam Division U9, and the tool is automatically going to bring you results that relate to the age group. You have guides, you have practices, you have sessions. All of the sessions, of course, are aligned, like I was saying before, are aligned with our methodology, our beliefs for on and off the field, our core values. So that's why we like saying that you coach the Rush way when you use our own content, because it has a reason to be developed the way it is. So just as an example, so people can see how sessions look, is I don't know, let's suppose that we're scrolling down and suddenly we found let me see, an activity that we might be interested in. Let's suppose that we want to do something about finishing. There we go. So we like this one. This is finishing in different numbers, 1v0, 1v1, 2v1. So what the tool does is on the upper right corner, you find all of the activities that are included in the session. And then as you scroll down, each activity is explained not only in terms of the setup, like you can see in this box. It also has an image. It's described. It has coaching points, it has guided questions, and then it always has an animation. So and sometimes maybe I don't know, maybe I didn't express myself very clearly. So you always count on an animation to show you in a 10 seconds video how the activity works. You can always click next. You find the second activity, then the third activity, etc. All of these sessions, for those that like having them printed, you can. There's always a printing option. You can also download it as a PDF if you want. You see, that's basically print and then save as a PDF, and you can get the session laid out in paper, let's say. But this is not it. So basically, one of the features that I really enjoy about the tool is, apart from the possibility of searching for sessions or activities by filters, you can always just do it. I call it the Google format, basically. So you can always comment this box and actually type something that you're looking for. So as you can see, yesterday I was playing with the idea of like, well, imagine that you're looking for a session about overlapping. So you can just type overlapping, and now the tool is automatically going to bring all of the results that relate to overlapping. So that's another way of navigating the tool. But that's not it, actually. And the greatest part of this is that we just released functionality that is called season plans. And this is the most popular part right now, because what season plans does is literally, it allows you to create a season plan for your team for a defined period of time. So we're gonna do it just right here to show how simple it is. You can access season plans from two places. One is from the training ground, going all the way to the bottom. On the right side, you find this, season plans. Another way of accessing the feature is from the locker room. On the left side menu, there's the third option, says season plans. If you click right there, that's another way of creating it. So what the tool is going to do is it's going to bring you here. As soon as you click get started, it's going to ask you 7 questions. The first one is the most obvious one, of course. What's your team? So you pick your team. Then it's going to ask you for the age group. I was playing with 9, so let's say 9. And then it's asking you, okay, when do you want the season to start? So let's suppose that we start on Monday. And when do you want the season plan to end? Naturally, it depends on the age group, of course, but you wouldn't go past 8 weeks. My recommendation, in fact, and I mean, Chris, you tell us your opinion as well. My recommendation would be maybe in small-sided stages, like U12 and under. I would probably use somewhere from 6 to 8 weeks, and after U13 and up, I would probably go a little bit shorter, actually, and maybe go around 6 weeks. So that it's a plan. It's a period of time that you run this season plan, and then you get the opportunity to evaluate and say, hey, this, I see that we made progress in this topic. Maybe we didn't make so much progress in this other topic, and from there you can design another cycle. I mean, would you agree with that as well, Chris?
Yeah, I would, Pablo. The only thing I would say is I think it'd be great to evaluate, but if they're, for the younger kids, sometimes maybe a 10-week plan. But just because you have the plan, if they're not getting it, it doesn't mean you have to move on. You can stick with
exactly
the same activity.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So exactly. Yeah, sometimes I feel like sometimes people like planning for like 9 months, and I'm like, well, but it's too long. Like go shorter, and
I would say 6 to 12 weeks. 6 to 12 weeks, exactly. And then of course always reflecting and reevaluating where the plan's going, and to see, is it transferring from training to the game? And I think also, just to add to that, for the coaches, sometimes we don't account for what children forget. So it's absolutely okay to do a session in week 1 and then go back and do it again in week 3, because to reinforce and remind.
Completely. In fact, I mean, that's great that you mentioned that. A lot of times what I suggest is like, let's suppose that you made a little bit of an emphasis in learning to any topic, let's say playing out of the back. So what I always say is like, okay, once you see that that change in behaviors, just like you're saying, like it's people, we start forgetting, it's like everything that we've studied. If you ask me about something that I studied 5 years ago, I've forgotten a lot of it, even if I knew it really well. So you can always have checkpoints after, like I call them like checkpoints, or checking for understanding activities or sessions in which, after a couple of weeks, maybe you do a session that has not necessarily the same activity, but requires the same solutions, let's say the same principles to solve it, and you just play it for a little, and you don't say much to actually check if they're still retrieving those concepts that they learned before. And it's like a little checkpoint for you to say, okay, yeah, they still remember how to do this, right?
Yeah, great. I think setting up those checkpoints is important for the coaches as well, because how many times have we gone somewhere, Pablo, been at a tournament or something, at an event, and the coach is yelling because, these players just don't get it. I've taught them how to defend and they don't get it. Well, is it our teaching, or is it the fact that we didn't revisit what they'd forgotten?
Exactly. You haven't taught anything until they've learned. So
yeah, brilliant.
Exactly. So
John would.
I hear that one a lot, and I'm like, well, maybe you were not so effective in the learning.
Yeah.
So anyway, the following up with moving on the questions again. Yeah. So it's going to ask us when we want to finish, of course. So we said that we started on August 16th, assuming that it was next Monday. So we said 6 to 8 weeks. So maybe let's go to October 16th. Let's say that it's 2 months. That's probably a little bit more than. Okay, let's give one less.
Yeah, one less. Yeah.
Next question is it's going to ask us when we train. So we said that it's a U9. So let's imagine that we train twice a week, maybe 5 p.m. So I'm picking in Tuesday and Thursday. There we go. I confirm those training times, and then the tool wants to know when, like my reference for match day. So let's suppose that it's Saturday. Okay, those are all the questions. Then you click build season plan, and what the tool does is it puts together a season plan for you. So now if I scroll down on the calendar, I find all of the sessions that are in my season plan. So let's suppose that it's next Tuesday, it's my first day now in my calendar. So I would just come here, click on it, and the tool is going to tell me the session that I have to do that day.
Yeah.
After that,
Wait.
Yep.
So I answer 7 questions on the training ground by going to the locker room or season plans.
Correct.
And then I have a season of plans. This is too easy, Pablo.
It is.
It's too easy. Now, let's click on one of the sessions, Pablo, please. Anyone.
There we go.
And now coaches have the ability to print that as a PDF. There's animation. And the curriculum is tried and tested because it's things we've sent out before, and you've taken it and brought life into it, right? So now it's on, not just on paper. So it's been tried and tested on grass, not just on paper, right? As Chris van der Hagen would say, is great on paper, insert swear word, on grass. Now we know it's also great on paper and great on grass, and it's the context of how the coach delivers the session. So for the volunteer coaches or the voluntold coaches, we have taken out a lot of the work, right, of planning sessions. And for those in Virginia, obviously we send it to them and we send it to others around the country. They have the ability now to be able to click, answer 7 questions and plan their session, or wait for their DOCs. And all our developmental DOCs should be potentially doing this and sending it out to the coaches. But then also touching base and just letting the coaches know, hey, know who's in front of you, right? If the activity is not working, modify, strip it back. What can you do? Go back to a tried and tested activity, but then try it again. So just to jump on that, Pablo, I know I've thrown
no, absolutely no.
There. So for example,
but that's exactly how it works. And so the entire season plan is organized now. We built it with, so this is something that from coaching education, it's not random sessions that are just thrown in your calendar. There's a logical progression in the season plan, of course. And one of the best things about it is that you can see this from your phone. So literally, once you downloaded the app, as soon as you open it, one of the options that you see on the bottom right corner is the same trophy. Is the symbol is the same trophy that you see here. And once you click there, now your phone is automatically telling you this is your next session and these are the upcoming ones. So basically, it's just telling you, hey, when you go on Thursday, do this, and you have it right on your phone. So you can check it if you need 1 hour before the session because you forgot something, it's right there for you at all times.
And it has everything laid out, the duration of the activity,
everything,
what's needed. So how would a director share the season plan with their volunteer coaches?
So that's a great question. So there are 2 ways that you can do it. As long as your director send me all of the coaches names and email addresses, we create users for them. They receive the credentials in their inboxes, and that's problem solved. That's very, very easy. Now, how to make these season plans available? There are 2 ways. One is to personally ask yourself as the coach to come here, like access the tool and create your season plan just like I did. But there's always a second option. And I don't know if your director is going to be so happy about it, but it's an option. That is, we also create club accounts. So I can create for you, let's suppose, Chris, I can create one that is Virginia Rush club account for coaching manual. And what that is going to allow you to do is to come here to your locker room and actually see your entire club. So you can create the entire club. You see, this is generic, of course, but you could, as the director, come here, see Virginia Rush, and create all of your teams, assign all of the coaches, and then create all of the season plans for them. So the only thing that they need to do is download the app, they open it, and they follow the sessions.
Massive.
And it's very easy. Like literally creating a team takes 1 second, and assigning the coaches nothing. You just click manage the team right here, and you see that it says head coach, assistant coaches. So you just add a player or add a coach right here. I will write down whoever it is, let's see, that is my friend Stefan from ATW Rush. I would just type his name, I add him, and he's automatically part of the team. And that makes it really, really simple because so if you did it as a club director, let's suppose that you set up your club, you create all of the teams, assign the coaches, created the season plans, then and you assign me to one. As soon as I open my app or I come to my website and I create and I click on calendars, now I'm going to see all of the season plans that are assigned to my teams. And that's important because the reason why I mentioned that is like a lot of times we have coaches that coach more than one team. So I would look at my calendar and maybe have 2 different season plans running at the same time.
Yeah, huge. So what a way to start your season, right? Let's talk about getting it started right for the volunteer coach, for any coach within the Rush family, to have the ability to be able to, you know, I'm not saying take the planning out of it, but to use sessions within the Rush way where you can take the time for planning out of it, but really study the material that you're delivering and thinking about. You know, who are the players in front of me? Who are the people in front of me? What is it that they need to know? And how can I best serve the players, right? To make sure I'm meeting their needs, right? They're meeting the players' needs and the team needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, in that sense is when you see our curriculum, and maybe this is worth mentioning, and I really hope that a lot of coaches take the time to do that. Like we were saying, all of these season plans are not random. There's that's where we spent a lot of time thinking and designing. We wanted this to make a lot of sense, obviously. So on the website itself, there's one option, sorry, not that one, here under the Rush way, that is, you can click on curriculum and you can find PDF versions of these season plans in a way. Why is it that I'm mentioning this? Using the Coaching Menu is a lot more useful. You have it on your phone, it's an app, it's a lot faster, it's a lot more available. But I do encourage people to actually come to the website and read them. Clicking one of these boxes and actually say, hey, you know, I'm coaching that U9, so maybe I'm gonna come here to curriculum, click on U9, U10, and read this PDF version, because it's going to explain not only how it's built and all of the topics that are included. You see, you can find, I'm gonna show that chart pretty quick. This is where it's where the topic distribution is explained, right? Like, so what is it that I'm doing in this U9 season plan? And these are the topics, the topic chart, let's say. So basically now, depending on the game phase or the collective action that we define, you can actually say, okay, in this curriculum, I'm gonna work on these topics particularly. And I think this is good to know because of what we were talking about before. You know, after you did it for 6 to 8 weeks, maybe this chart is actually going to help you say like, okay, these are all the topics that we train. What about, let's read one, passing, will pass. So I can go, you know, Chris and I, we can sit down and say like, hey, what do you think? Do you think they got better at well passes? Well, no, maybe we want to do that one again a couple more times. So now it becomes a process to assess your own, to assess like the learning, if any learning took place during the season plan. So I think it's really useful to actually have these versions as well, to understand how it's built and to understand what it is that you're doing through your season plan.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And obviously there, Pablo, you touched on the blue thread, the 9-10 soccer curriculum. And the blue thread is something that we devised to make sure these elements were present in training sessions. And you were just on it. And the blue thread is very player-centered. Obviously, as coaches, we don't want to be doing the majority of the talking. We want to ask questions and give players the opportunity to answer the questions. But I love that this blue thread. The other thing that I wanted to touch upon is everything is related, everything's connected. Because I see there we also had our game model and the Rush way to play, which was regain, can we finish, can we progress, and everything is tied in from under 6 essentially all the way through under 19. Now the challenge becomes, how do we implement, how do we breathe life into that, right? And through the sessions we have the ability to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you're saying it, and that's why I wanted to show this part as well, and I encourage people to read it, because you know, I don't want to say it's easy, because it's not, but planning and executing a good session is just a part of it. Like I think it gets a lot more interesting when you start understanding how that session fits in the big picture. How is it that this session at this stage is going to help us develop the player that we want to see at U19? Because that's what it's all about at the end. It's like we're part of a process of a 12, 13 years process sometimes, of taking the U6 player and developing as a person and as a player onto that U19 that we potentially want to see. So exactly, it's
Oh,
what you're saying.
And that's the thing, right? So that's why it's called long-term player development, as opposed to short-term. But there are little milestones, if you go back to the curriculum that we have in there, that players should be able to do at this age. Just because they're younger doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to do it, and just because they're of the age, it doesn't mean they could be able to do it. So just remembering, and I said this very early, right? Remembering to notice who's in front of us and understand that people are getting metaphorically picked up and dropped off at different bus stops, and development may happen a little bit later for some and earlier for others, and just being patient, right?
100%, Chris, and it's good that you mentioned that. One of the worst this is an incredible tool. This is an incredible thing that we have, but one of the worst mistakes that we can make is stop thinking just because we have this. We have to notice, we have to observe who's in front of us, because just because the curriculum says U12 and you're coaching U12, it doesn't mean it's the right one for your player. It doesn't mean that. It's impossible. The one size fits all fits nobody.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the player that is in front of you and say, like, you know what, maybe they don't need to do the U12. Maybe they need to do the U10, or maybe maybe they can do the U13. You know?
And that goes back to knowing who's in front of you. I think it was Horst Veen, the old Dutch coach, who said a football experience should be like your shoes. They should fit comfortably and be tailored to you. You know what I mean? So I think that the quote was something like that. And no, I think that's huge, right?
No, totally.
So this curriculum, Pablo, we have this for under 6 through under 8, under 9 to under 10, which is the bantam, 11s and 12s, and it's been developed for most ages. And we go in there and we talk about halftime, we talk about post game, greetings, dealing with the parents, right? And I shouldn't just say, I don't mean dealing with the parents that way. What I mean is engaging the parents, right?
Completely. Please, you and I we keep repeating that. Please, like the coaches need to understand that how important the parent is. How important it's not, like you were saying, like we're laughing about it. It's not dealing, it's engaging the parent in the parent's vital process, a vital part of the process. So please, the last thing that we want to see is coaches that treat the parent like it's the enemy, right? Like if they can keep them as far as possible, better. No, that's not going to help the educational process that we're proposing for the players. So
to get your season started right, as a coach, we encourage you and implore you to meet the parents very early in the process, whether it's through an email, just saying, hey, my name is Chris P. This is my philosophy. I've been with the Rush for X amount of years. These are some of the things that the club believes. This is which aligns with what I believe. We're player-centered, we're person-centered. I'm going to need some help along the year. These are our expectations. This is the club's expectations. Here's what you can expect of me. So it's not just one-way traffic. And basically, letting people know about the club DNA, knowing that as a parent, if you're yelling from the sideline, which is in my article, which people can read at a later date or watch the videos, but knowing that that can be distracting, right? So how can we get parents to be on our team, but also best support their child? And just laying these down, whether we meet for a little bit after practice, just to touch upon, hey, this is what we worked on this week, this is what you can look for in the games, and then touch base after the game, for example, and say, okay, I love what you did there, Pablo. Pablo, you fought so hard. You never gave up. And I saw that you pulled off that move that we've been working on in practice, Pablo. Well done. So now not only have we addressed the children in front of the parents, but we've also controlled the narrative and the car ride home, right? And stuff like that, which is so important. I like the picture right there, Pablo. That was the back of me, and that was a little girl from California at the hub that hadn't played for over a year. So I did not know where she was coming from, right? And I'm like, are you okay? And then this was the moment she had told me, Coach, I haven't played for a year. So everything fell into perspective.
Really?
Right? Yeah, goes back to, just as coaches, knowing who's in front of you and trying to understand what bus stop they're at or being dropped off at.
I didn't know. That was a good capture.
Yeah, it was. It's got my best side too, the back of me.
So you look amazing on it. So.
Yeah. So,
but no, I just want to echo what you said before and reinforce it. Communication is the name of the game, and you would be surprised of how supportive parents can be if you explain what you're doing and why you're doing it and what it's parents they just love their kids and they want to help, but that doesn't mean that they know how. So if you explain it, you would be surprised of how understanding they can be. And I'll say like this like, I can say like this is a little case that happened to me maybe a year and a half ago. I took a team when I realized we were really bad at playing out of the back. We don't want to get into the coaching reasons, but and probably they spent 6 years before that in which the only thing that they were teaching it was to kick and run, because it was more effective to win games probably, but they were not learning other things. So we were at a relatively advanced stage, U14, U15, U16, and it was a concern for me. I said, like, we gotta teach these kids to play out of the back. And so I told the parents, I'm going to do this, and we're probably going to make a lot of mistakes, and it's going to cost us a lot of games. And I was right about that. It did cost us a lot of games. So we had like 4 or 5 games in a row that we lost, and you were always making mistakes playing out of the back. But after that, we started getting a lot better. And by the end of the season, it was quite how do you call it, like a mark, like a signature of our team that we were really good at playing out of the back. And the parents always supported me because they knew that I was trying to do that and that it was probably going to cost us games. And they never complained. They were super supportive. So if you just explain what you do, and you'll see they just want to help. It's nothing different.
No, absolutely. And I think that's the critical thing, right? Is sharing the plan, but also sharing what you can expect. Listen, we may not win here, however, but we are going to learn. And there's a plan A, there's a plan B, there's a plan C, and just like we talked about earlier, engaging the parents. Because me personally, I've always referred to the parents as the team behind the team, because we get maybe 4 hours, 5 hours with the children, right? And the rest of the time they're either at school or with family, and hopefully not with their cell phone as an influence, but they have this influence, and we have to be able to be aligned with the parents and include them as part of our team, as the team behind the team.
Totally.
So even how we support, I think, becomes important, right?
Totally. I don't mean to be blunt about this, but when we see coaches that they say, I mean, that they propose not only what they try to do on the field, but also the development of certain core values. Like, for example, I work a lot with accountability and competitiveness, and these are like character traits that I try to develop in my player in very specific ways. Like that they're included in my programming, in my plan, in very specific ways. And you hear coaches that a lot of coaches want to do things like this, but then they neglect the parent side of coaching, and just right there. And again, I don't mean to be blunt, but your process crumbles. If you're not going to achieve it if you don't work together with the team behind the team, like you're saying, it's just going to crumble if the message that you're trying to pass on to your players is not supported and replicated behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
you just gotta be smart about it. And if I can say this, it's also gonna make your experience so much more enjoyable. So much more enjoyable. It's so much nicer when you actually. I have a lot of parents that are friends of mine now, and I'll tell you, it was the best years are always when we're all in the same boat and we're trying to do this together. And beyond the results, it's something that we can all share openly. Those are the best years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that goes back to developing good people, using football, soccer as the tool. I also think it's winning with, it's victories with values and medals with morals, right? Developing good people, character, and things like that. So, I love here. We've got some coaching tips as well within this. With the, as we get closer to the end here, if we could pull out maybe 3 points, Pablo, that we think are critical to having a successful season, just to help our coaches, and what 3 things would you say would be critical to having a successful season? And now, when I say success, it's relative, right? Success is relative. So, for example, as a developmental coach, okay, success could be I have 10 players on my roster, all 10 players come back. With an older coach, it might, at 16, it might be tied into your win-loss record. It might be, if you're a second team coach, how many players do you get moved from the second team to the first team, et cetera, et cetera. So success being relative in the ages and stages where the players are at. So
I think you just said one. Actually, it's very important. That is, they try to define. Why do you try to define success before you start? Like that's something that I do in my own season. I'm like, okay, let's try to define success. And I'm not saying this is the only way of doing it, but my mental process is to try to think about the end. So start by the end and say, okay, how do we want to feel when this is, by the end of this season? What do we want to see when we look back by the end of the season? And from there, we define success. And I think, and I obviously would recommend, like, try to go beyond the results itself, because you don't control them. So you're going to try to get, everybody tries to get the good results from a sporting point of view, but you don't really control it. And some seasons are going to be better than others. So, but how do you want to feel? How do we want to feel as a group? What do I want to leave on my players? I think try to define success, try to get a good picture of that. That would be one.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think just for the developmental coach, it might be, if you're a U6 developmental coach, if you have 10 players, do all 10 players come back? And just know and understand that there are some children that won't want to play, but that is in their characteristics, that's their age group. And eventually by the end of the season, they may be on the field and they may be chasing that ball.
Totally. There are no, I know it's, some people probably hate it when we say this, but there are no trophies ever going to compensate the feeling that somebody might have dropped the sport because of the experience he had with you or she had with you. That's the most horrible thing that can happen to you as a coach. No wins compensated. No.
Never be anybody's last coach.
Please no.
So what would your second thing be?
So if the first one is defining success, my second one would probably be one is for sure is communicate. communicate, like make a focus in communication. And I don't mean this in a vague way. For example, one very, very important thing is make a parents meeting before you start and explain what you're going to do. And then don't just leave there. Do checkpoints. Do checkpoints. You know, add them to your planning. And maybe that's my third. My third point would be have a plan. So add it in your planning. How am I going to communicate? How frequently? Those are very important things for me. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree wholeheartedly, right? So I like that you went define success, starting with the end in mind, communicate, but tabletop, keep having checkpoints. Don't just do one master dump. Think about and even have a plan on how you're going to communicate, you said, but then also having a plan, right? Which, as far as session plans go, we've not told people not to think, but we've given the ability to tweak and modify the plan that they have. The final things that I would say is, remember, children only get one childhood, and it's our job to make it as memorable as possible. The second thing I would say is never be anybody's last coach, which you just went to, Pablo. And the final thing I would say is, let's give children the roots to grow and wings to fly and really love and enjoy the game.
Totally. And if I can add one thing about the first, it's not really adding, it's actually painting a picture. You always say this thing of like, remember that children only get one child. So we got to make it as special as possible. And every time that you say that, and I just want to share the picture, is this is, it's not philosophical. It's try to remember how it was. Try to remember how it was to be 7. And sometimes it's hard to remember. Try to remember how different it was when you were in school, when you were a kid and you were in primary school, how different it was to be in 1st grade, in 2nd grade, in 3rd grade. All of those years are so special, so special. And it's our job definitely not to ruin them, at least on the soccer side of things, on the experience that they get in our clubs. We got to try to make them memorable.
Brilliant.
Try to remember, it's not philosophical. Those years are super, super special.
Yeah, and I love that, Pablo. And I think, listen, for the coaches who will watch this, we're going to challenge you to put in Discord your favorite childhood memory of a sporting experience, right? So in Discord, Pablo, we'll let you talk about Discord in a little second, right? But we want the coaches who are watching this, right, who have watched this, put in Discord your favorite memory of any sporting moment and how that made you feel, right? Pablo, I love how you've tapped into emotion there and feelings. I've actually got goosebumps, right? Just thinking about the responsibility that we have as coaches and the privilege that we have as coaches to work with children and have a positive effect and influence on these children's lives forever.
Of course. You know, somebody told me once, he told me this, and I never forgot that. I felt a lot of responsibility in a good way. It was not pressure, it was just responsibility from it. Somebody told me, you have to remember that as a soccer coach, you're your children's favorite teacher. You're the only teacher that they chose. Because when you go to school, you don't really pick your teachers. But when you go to practice, you're actually picking to be there as a player. So the coach is the only teacher that they choose. They're choosing to be here. And you should be grateful and feel privileged for that. So don't ruin that. It's you're the teacher that they chose. Just make it great for them.
Brilliant. Now, Pablo, share a little about Discord, and then we'll go over the links again, and maybe when the video is edited, we can have them in the subtitles so people can access this stuff very easily. And we'll just tell us about Discord.
Sure, absolutely. So Discord is the 3rd platform that we manage, let's say. Just probably now coaches are gonna think like, you guys have a lot of platforms. I'm sorry about that. We do. So we use 3 of them. We use the website, that is one that I was showing before, that you can find this curriculum that I was showing you. You can find player resources and parents resources and coaches resources. We had the coaching manual, that is the one that we explained for sessions. And the third platform that we use is called Discord. And Discord, long story short, it's a chat-based platform. So basically, right now we have over 250 people on the platform. Oh no, I lied, 240 people. And what it does is we create different channels. That's the differential, let's say, of Discord and other chat-based platforms. So all of our coaches and our professionals from Rush from all over the world, which makes it really special, they join this platform in which we chat about different topics, and we create channels for each topic, because obviously let's suppose that we have a group that is talking about goalkeeping education, and maybe they don't really care about the select center in Atlanta in that moment, so they don't really want to get messages from that. So the option that Discord is giving you is that you can mute those channels, just like you mute them on WhatsApp for people that are used to WhatsApp. So we create different channels here to talk about all of this, to talk about events, and also talk about educational topics. So for example, this month that we're talking about starting the season with the right foot, you have a specific channel that is the monthly educational campaign in which we're going to talk about this. So it's a really nice platform and product that we have going on, because it really connects us. It really gives us the opportunity to learn from each other, to talk to each other, to share interesting things, that to ask for feedback. And I think it's one of the most special things that we have in the Rush, because we're the largest club in the world. Like there's no other club that has 2,000 coaches all over the globe. So the possibility of actually being on the same place, or even if it's virtually, I mean, to be on the same platform and have the capacity to share, it makes it really special. It makes it super special, and you get to notice that you're part of a really large, important club, and there's a lot of people that they care as much as you do about making it as good as possible for all of our members. So it feels really special to be on the platform and connect with people from everywhere.
So I think the session is thinking locally, acting globally, right? But I think this would be a great opportunity for us to get some of our volunteer coaches. How's the season going? And a chance to hear from them. Of course, if people choose to engage. But
completely. And if you don't mind me saying this,
please.
So just to explain how you can actually join the platform. So Discord is an app as well, so you can always, go to Discord. You get to your what's the name, Play Store or Apple Play, and you're gonna find the symbol, and you can always download it on your phone. It's very agile. And how you actually join it is very simple. So you create a generic account, and then when you register to our website here, the website itself is going to invite you to join the Discord community. It's just going to give you a link, and when you click on it, it's going to take you straight to our Rush Soccer Development environment. That is where all of us are talking.
Brilliant.
Did I explain that more or less?
No, yeah, you did. I think that's brilliant. And again, just to remind coaches who are going to watch this, you have to go in and share your moments, your best memory as a sporting moment.
Yeah, I'm thinking about mine. That's a good one.
Yeah. You and I can lead the way on that. We can put ours in, right? But it's funny because we have to remember, and you brought this up earlier, people, you talked about wooden, but Maya Angelou said, we will, and I don't want to get this quote wrong, and I want to make sure I get the right one. And it says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So, I think that would probably good words to end it there, and wish everybody a great luck for their season. But success leaves clues. And if people need anything, whether it's developmental to regional to ECNL to national to USDA or MLS Next, know that your Coach and Ed team at Rush has you, and we're here, and we're just a phone call or an email or a screen away. Pablo, final words?
No, I like what you said. I mean, about the quote from Maya Angelou. And again, it's like just like we were trying to remember before. That's now and try to remember completely. Like you don't forget. You might forget facts, but you don't really forget how people made you feel when you were a kid. So yeah, it's
Brilliant.
important. Make it good for them.
Fantastic.
And yeah, if I can echo that, if anybody needs anything, like Chris is saying, like we're here for you, and we love getting those emails and trying to help however we can. So feel encouraged to reach out.
Brilliant. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, everybody who will watch this later. Good luck with your season. We're here, and with 3 great platforms, your season can be brilliant. And please, please, please meet with the parents, engage with the parents, because they are indeed the team behind the team.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Pablo.